Okay, looks like our stream is up and running. Testing 1, 2. Sorry for the echo. Okay, welcome to Jex in Space. This is going to be a little bit different. Today I'm going to try to record a podcast. This is my first time doing this. I'm doing it live on Twitch, so it'll be a VOD there. I will not be interacting with chat during recording this if any chat comes in. And then this will be posted on the YouTube channel as well, which is also Jex in Space. So bear with me as I sort of stumble through this inaugural episode. I'm going to do an official start here in just a moment, but I'm just trying to make sure everything is up and running and working well. And basically how this is going to work, I'm going to be talking about Star Citizen today, specifically about the inventory. I'm calling this series Fixing Star Citizen. So it's sort of my perspective on some things that we can tackle in the short term to make the game a little bit more playable and improve the experience and hopefully improve the game overall for both SIG and for us the players and for the people who have not yet played it yet. So that's the aim. Like I said, it's going to be Jex in Space channel. Fixing Star Citizen is going to be the series title, and the first episode is going to be on the inventory. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the inventory concepts that they showed off in the Star Citizen Live on July 3rd. All right, so I think we're good. I'm going to try to kick this off, and we'll go from there. So like I said, if there's any chats that come in, I'm not ignoring you, but I am trying to record this as a podcast and as a series. So if there's something really relevant that pops up that I feel like I can work into my discussion, I will do that. But I am following sort of a loose outline of thoughts and ideas here, so I don't want to derail from that. And we'll try to keep this somewhat succinct. I haven't really done a rehearsal through to test out the timing, so we'll see. I've got 3 main bullets I'm going to get through. All right, let me jump in here and play the intro. So we'll do 5, 4. All right, this is Fixing Star Citizen episode 1, the inaugural episode. We're focused on inventory today. So we're going to be focusing on the Star Citizen Live that aired on July 3rd. That's what you're seeing right now on your screen. And this focused mostly on how you earn things in Star Citizen. I think the title of the episode is Earning in the Verse. And they really talked about, how do you acquire things in game? And then toward the end of it, they showed this, sort of their concepts for a new updated inventory system. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Let me get some of the background music going here. So there's some Star Citizen music filling in the background. There we go. And we'll jump through. All right. So before we start, I just want to set some context here. But let me just say I've been a backer of Star Citizen almost from the beginning. I backed in 2013. I play the game regularly. I enjoy Star Citizen. I have been streaming gameplay recently on Twitch, Jex in Space, and I'm a fan of the game, all right? But I don't think that means that, I have to be blindly loyal to the game. So just like everything else sort of in life right now, there's extreme polarization happening with Star Citizen, and it feels like you either have to fall into this camp of you think everything is a scam and there's just no good intention and it's all just about getting money and there's no intention to make a game or make a good game, or on the other side you fall into the camp of a white knight who thinks SIG can do no wrong, right, and that everything is fine and they should have all the time in the world and all the resources in the world and we can't question what they do. I think there's a lot of us who are in the sane middle ground where we like the game, we love the game, but we see its flaws and we see, where maybe they've misstepped and we see where, maybe they've made a lot of mistakes. And that's where I'm at. So my goal with this series is really to kind of highlight those things where I think when I'm playing the game, when I'm experiencing the game, like how can we make things better with minimal effort and maximum impact. So that's what I'm going to focus on in this series. So you'll hear a little bit of, praise on things they're doing right, but mostly it's going to be sort of, these ideas and suggestions and thoughts about, where we're going in the wrong direction and how we can course correct and make the game better for all of us, right? Okay, so we're watching the Star Citizen live where they've introduced this whole inventory system. You're seeing that. And to be honest, there are some improvements in this system. It's not all bad. Like, the purpose of this video is not to say like this is completely terrible. Let me scrub back to a wider shot here. Okay, so I think overall some of the ideas are really good. I especially love the little inventory slots that are around the paper doll. That would make it a lot easier to equip and unequip stuff if we can just interact with those slots rather than like the specific points on the character. And obviously having access to more inventory and to like the stats and all of that stuff is really good. The stack button, oh my gosh, yes please. The search filters, yes, really good. But I have 3 issues that I want to bring up today with some problems I anticipate with this system, all right, and talk about those. So I don't think there's too much to be gained by just focusing on like going into details on all the stuff that is an improvement, because things are such at a base level now that almost anything that we can get in is an improvement. But I want to talk about the areas of concern. First up for me is the paper doll system that they're using, and they did not address this in the video. So I'm assuming that it's still using the 3D in-game camera, right? Which, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. I don't know why they are so stuck on this. I hope they're getting away from it, but if they are, they really need to mention it, because the 3D in-game paper doll camera system just does not work for me, and I hope you guys feel the same. So yeah, maybe what I can do here, I have a clip showing some of my struggles with the inventory that I'll pull up here. All right, let me rewind this clip for a bit. Okay, this is fine. So anytime you're near a wall and you press inventory, you get this weird perspective where it's zoomed in on you, right? And you have to like move the camera around. It's just not very functional. You see it again here. Like, what am I looking at? Oh, here I am. It's just a terrible system, especially if you're in combat. Like, I'm in my hangar here. If you're in combat and you're having to do things quick, I need to change my gun. How bad is it? We have 2 inventory systems and neither of them work. Like, here is the loot system. If I want to grab my other gun, I've got to scroll through all these pages to find the weapon I'm looking for. Now, this whole time I'm getting shot. I'm getting radiation spat on me from the worm, and I finally find my gun, and then I can equip it there. Or what I usually end up doing is going to this 3D view. Things are attacking me in the game. I'm rotating around to find the gun I want to replace. At least I can get to it more quickly in this inventory system. And then, no joke here, I didn't mean to show this, but I just lost a pledge store gun, the black P8R, because I did not pull it off my body first. And it dropped to the ground, and then it just despawned. It's not in my inventory. It's not in my local inventory. It's just gone. So, that's Star Citizen for you. I didn't even mean to capture that. But just speaking of problems with this 3D paper doll system, like, that was a good one there. Here I am, like, looking for my gun. Where did it go? Nobody knows. It's gone. Hopefully I get it back in the patch that's coming out tomorrow. So, we'll see. But yeah, so I think they got to get away from a paper doll system that uses an in-game camera, because it's just way too clunky, especially when you're in, hectic situations like being in combat, PvE combat, or God forbid you're in PvP combat and you need to use the inventory system. So, I don't even know if we need this paper doll system. To be honest with you, I don't use it that much. I mostly just double click items in the inventory to equip them. Or I use, like you saw, I go into the loot menu and equip things there, because it is a little, nicer layout and I think a little more user friendly. But yeah, we're 13 years in, we don't have a working inventory system, and we just now are getting a concept of an inventory system that might come, in the future, but doesn't, it seems like they've spent not a lot of time figuring out how it should work. All right. So yeah, there's definitely, some issues there. If we do, my suggestion for this is like, do we need the paper doll? And if so, if we're going to keep a 3D view, just use something like we have in the character creation screen, just the character in an abstract background. And maybe that's what this is supposed to be. Maybe this is background is supposed to be your base, represent your base or your hangar, or, you know, some static area. I don't need it to be in the environment that we're in using the camera. It can just be, honestly, a blank background or a static background, or it can be 2D, right? I mean, we're all familiar with games that use paper doll systems. Like, why is SIG acting like this hasn't been solved before? I mean, this is from The Long Dark. It's just a 2D paper doll system, and it has the fly out slots that are very easy to interact with. So like I said, that's a good thing that we're seeing in this updated proof. And this works very well. It's simple, it's clean, it's not as fancy as Star Citizen, but it doesn't need to be. It gets the job done. It's functional and it works, right? And that's all I'm looking for in Star Citizen. I'm looking for something that is functional, and give me one inventory instead of 2 or 3 inventory systems, right? And if we do this paper doll, consider making it 2D or a 3D that does not rotate. It's just a flat front image 3D in a black background, a static background, or some pre-rendered background, right? To me, that's like a no-brainer and an easy win. So let's move on. That's my first issue, is this like paper doll system that we've had forever. Let's get rid of that. All right, let's improve it and simplify it. Second issue, I'm gonna play a clip here to introduce this. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, here we go.
Obviously, you can see there's a visual facelift, but kind of the most interesting aspect to me isn't super obvious straight away, and that is that you'll be able to access other inventories that are nearby to you within proximity. So if we start drawing, we imagine we've got our storage box over here, and then we kill the guy. Yeah, thank you. We kill the guy. Here he is. He's on the floor.
Perfect looking guy.
So
looks good.
He would be accessible as one of the tabs up here, and then the inventory box would be over here. Same on the other side. And so when you press I to access the inventory, you can then access the dead bodies inventory, access your storage box. You can start moving stuff around without having to directly go up to the body, go to the box, press F. So it's much quicker to kind of get in there and start looting.
Okay, and that sounds well and good, right? So what they're saying here is that you'll have access to multiple inventories that are in your proximity, right? And I could see why that sounds promising, especially when you see like their thoughts and their little sketches here. The problem is, how scalable is this? We are talking about Star Citizen, right? And it looks like, yeah, this will probably work fine if there's one body in one box, but that's not Star Citizen, okay? It's not unusual in Star Citizen. You know, this is a mild, like very mild representation I'm showing here. This is from the Stormbreaker event. There's a room you're in that you have to defend, and enemies keep pouring into it. Now, there's only like 5 bodies here and a couple boxes maybe, but this could very easily be 50 bodies or 100 bodies. You know, one of the problems with Star Citizen is I don't know how these events are supposed to work, because, you know, there's sometimes when I run Stormbreaker and maybe, you know, I fight like what seems like a reasonable amount of NPCs to me, maybe 25, 30 try to get into this room and we kill them. And then other times it's, you know, like 200 of them try to enter this room. And I don't know like which one is like the standard that SIG is aiming for, because the game runs, you know, so wildly different depending on the server, you know, health and how many people are on and all that kind of stuff, that it's hard to know, you know, what is their true intention of the game experience. But let's say there's 50 bodies in here. The idea of those 50 inventories loading into the menu, loading into your memory, and then what? Creating a list of icons. If I go back here, he's talking about these icons at the top that you could toggle between different inventories. Is there going to be 50 different boxes there. You can see little scroll arrows on the left and right. I want to scroll through 50 inventory icons at the top. Same if there's a drop down listing the inventories. And you saw how bad it runs on the loot menu when I was going through the different pages, right? Do I need to show that again? Maybe I can, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Star Citizen inventory. Okay, so if I scrub through here. All right, you can see when I start clicking through the pages here, how slow the icons are to load. So imagine going through 50 different enemy inventories, right? Where it's showing more than 6 at a time. It's showing a whole screen full at a time. It just does not seem realistic to me that this is not going to affect performance. And it just doesn't seem like a very good game design solution. I can't imagine the UI team figuring out a way to do this that makes sense. And it kind of concerns me that they're showing this off and being like, hey, here's a fix where you can access all these inventories. And they seem to have overlooked this idea. They seem to think that, oh yeah, there's going to be
you can see there's a visual facelift,
one box
kind of the most
and one
interesting
body.
aspect to me isn't super obvious.
And so I think like that's one of the things with this particular Star Citizen Live, and honestly, like a lot of times with these messages, that just leaves me shaking my head, is that after 13 years, they're showing off a concept for an inventory, and they seem very, very proud of it. Like Jared is in there, pumping his fist and celebrating. It doesn't even seem that well thought out. It does not feel like someone has been working on this design for the past 5 years or so. Like we have 1,000 developers. What are they doing? Like somebody should be thinking about inventory before we're 13 years into the project and figuring out how it works. So then they give a guy a couple weeks in Photoshop and they show it off when it's nowhere close. It's not in active development, and they're so proud of themselves when it doesn't, to me, seem like good design yet. And it seems to me like somebody should have been working on the design of this for years at this stage, and it's still something that happens in the future. And I don't really understand. I don't want to have inventory screens that are just full of icons that I have to scroll through. I don't understand why we would think that that's a good idea. Just let me click on one thing and access that inventory. Keep it simple. All right. Now, this idea of multiple inventory access isn't new. This is an example from Gears of Eden, and it can kind of work here. It's a single player game, right? And so you don't have to worry about, there's not going to be 500 dead bodies in one area that I can go through. You have a few boxes in an area, and we can see here, you can scroll through the inventory crates at the top and access the different inventories. And it can kind of work for a small single player game. I don't know that this is even like a really great solution because, you can craft your own boxes and place them. And while it's unlikely a player would craft 500 boxes and put them in one area, they could. And so the game design should maybe take into account like how people will play and like what are the edge cases, and that people will find ways to break things. And if that's true for a game that's this simple, it's going to be true for a game as complicated as Star Citizen, right? So yeah, leave multiple inventory box access to games where it can handle it, and it's not going to be disrupting if we're tearing up the game and loading things into the memory. We're not destroying the game for a multiplayer environment. So that was my second issue, is just this multiple inventory access. Hopefully they'll come back and report more about it. I just don't see it working in a scalable way that Star Citizen would need it to work, right? And I talked a little bit about this next point in that second issue, but the third main issue I have here is that, oh my gosh, this is still in concept. It's just a concept. Let me play this next clip for you guys.
But again, we just wanted to share a bit about at least the concept for the upcoming inventory revamp for folks in the chats that are saying 2026, 2027. Possibly. I'm not gonna BS you here. It's not in active development right now. It's just in the concept phase and being spec'd out, and the work is being figured out, and then it will be scheduled and stuff like this. So I can't speak. None of us can speak about when it will be developed or be delivered rather. But that is the direction we want to go in this moment.
Direction.
And I thought it was super cool, and I thought it was super exciting. And at the end of a conversation about all the things you can get in the verse and how you get them, it just made sense to me to cap it off with a look at least how the future of managing that stuff will potentially look.
Okay, so this is my third point. It's just a concept. It could be 2026, it could be 2027. This is a big problem with the game, all right? There's this ongoing joke in the Star Citizen community that the game is always 2 years from being complete, right? And look, that comes from things that SIG has said in the past. You know, we had 2016, we had 2018, et cetera, et cetera. And Jarrett now will not mention dates because he's said, like, we are terrible at it. We get it wrong all the time. But, you know, so there's become a joke of like, hey, things will be, 2 more years, we'll be there, it'll be ready. The flip side of that is that the game constantly feels like it's only been in development for 2 years. Like, we're talking about systems in the game, like an inventory system. We're 2 years from starting it. Or 2 years from having an updated version in the game. And it feels like it should have started 5-6 years ago or more. And the problem with this is that there's so much missing in the game, and it seems like every small little thing we get in Star Citizen is at least 2 to 3 years to develop it, and it just does not make sense, and it's not sustainable. Look, we're still missing like just functional UI, inventory that we're talking about today, missions and events that actually work, engineering, hacking, the player economy, reputation, that whole taxi touring passenger gameplay thing, exploration, ships docking together, the cutting torch gameplay, fire systems, FPS radar, a better version of salvaging gameplay like we have with mining, suit lockers, life support, planet tech, other star systems. Like, if all of these individual things, and there's more, take 1, 2, 3 years each, where are we? Like, how is this game going to get done? It makes you look at games like Dune that came out recently, and you're like, oh my gosh, the game has UI that's clean and functional. It has base building, it has crafting, it has missions and content that works. Has this game been in development for 50 years? Because if I were to take this set of features and give them to Star Citizen, I feel like there's no way we would get it all without 50 years of development. How is it possible that a company gets all of this done, right? When, in a short amount of time, when Star Citizen needs 3 more years just to get an inventory system working. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. All right. Look, here's Dune again. Look, they have the paper doll system figured out, right? How did they get that done? How come it didn't take them 13 years to get a paper doll inventory system figured out? I don't understand. All right. Why hasn't things gone better for Star Citizen? And this is where I'm left at with like a tough pill to swallow. Like, we have to hope at this point that they lied to us when they told us that developers were coming off of Squadron 42, that it was almost done. We're going to take the team from Squadron 42, bring them to Star Citizen, and things will speed up like crazy. Because that hasn't happened. Like, we have to hope they lied to us and that a lot of the development team is still working on Squadron 42 and trying to get it ready and trying to get it released. And my gosh, it better come out in 2026 and it better be amazing or we're all in trouble with the Star Citizen. But we have not seen like that increase in development, and he's still saying inventory might be 2 years away. So even after pulling everyone from Squadron 42 and putting them on Star Citizen, we can't get an inventory system done in 2 years, even though other games get completely built in 2 years, right? It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. So we're forced into a position where we have to hope that the best case scenario is that they are lying to us. And that doesn't feel good, right? This is supposed to be the year of playability. And it hasn't been. It has not been. Yes, there have been some improvements, but this has been the year of events. And why? Because they can use events as marketing opportunities to have sales, to introduce new ships and vehicles and concepts and sell them to us. It's hard to have a patch come out that's like, hey, all we did was we made freight elevators work. Here's a big sale, go buy the ship. Like, that's not, very sexy, and it doesn't work. So what they've done is contested zones, they've done Align in Mind, they've done Stormbreaker, we have like, there was another event in there that I'm leaving out, and then we have the upcoming like resource, acquisition missions type thing. So the problem is when they're focused on all those events, they're focused on trying to make them work rather than fixing the long-standing bugs and issues in the game. Look, I went to a medical clinic today. When I went to go capture that footage of myself in the hangar, I had a head injury from my previous gaming session, so I went to the medical area to try to heal it so it didn't look weird on the stream. Both check-in terminals, room 0, I couldn't heal myself. So I still can't heal myself in the game. They're not focused on playability right now. They're focused on making these events. Then the problem is these events have problems. I mean, guess what? Contested Zones is the oldest one, still doesn't work. Like I just ran Contested Zones recently. How many times do you come across a red door and there's a box in front of it because someone's used it to glitch themselves through the door? Why are they doing it? Maybe they didn't want to get a red card. Maybe they did it at a fuse door because, getting a fuse to work in a contested zone is still a gamble. My usual process is walk up to a door, try to insert fuse from backpack. That never works. Try to get the fuse into my hand. Sometimes that works. Sometimes I have to drop it on the ground first. If I do drop it on the ground, hopefully it didn't disappear like my gun. You saw my gun disappear earlier. Pick it up and then try to insert it into the door. That usually doesn't work. Drop it on the ground, get a tractor beam out, try to tractor the fuse into the door, and then for some reason have to rotate it in a line. Like, why? Why do we need a mini tractor beam rotation game to open a door? Just let it get close and open the door. And then you'd go through all that to finally get to the end. And guess what? Freight elevators still don't work. And half the time or more, the inventory, the loot at the end just doesn't spawn. Or maybe just like 50 P8 R's spawn, but nothing else. So contested zones are broken. Align in Mind, tried it a few days ago. Went around, all the satellite dishes were up pointing to the station, but the batteries were not taken out. So we took the batteries, went to each one, got the battery, skipped the rest of the gameplay because we didn't need to do it. We're about to head up to the station to put the batteries in when we noticed the hole in the ground was open. We went in, mined for hours. The hole never closed. The rocks in the cave just kept respawning. So that's completely broken. And that one was broken in a way that was good for us, but it was still just felt janky and completely broken. And then we have Stormbreaker, which the medical bed respawn thing, that's a whole nother video probably. But man, that just starts, PvP is not bad, but when it's just really stupid game design where someone's camping your bed and as soon as you wake up, they're killing you and you are just stuck in an endless loop of you kill them, they kill you. It just feels really, really stupid, man. On top of that, freight elevators never work. Can't get the stuff out without having to put these giant teeth in a tram and getting it across. So they've been so focused on getting these things in the game and trying to get them somewhat working that it feels like they have not been able to spend the time on what they told us they were going to do at the beginning of the year, which is fixing the game and making it better. And the reason for that is, like I said, it's for marketing. It's because they can have these events. They can sell, a new Atlas. They can sell a new ship because there's an event surrounding it. And it's just not exciting from a marketing team perspective to release a patch that's just bug fixes. And that's what we really need. And that's what Chris understood we needed when he talked to us at the beginning of the year, but is not what they have done. And yeah, So that's a huge, I maybe went down a little bit of a tangent here. So I'm going to try to bring it back a little bit to the inventory system, okay? The things that we need now, as you see on the screen here, the stack button in the top right corner of these inventories. Yes, give us the stack button, please, especially with all these Wicklow missions and you need to turn in a lot of things. Like, please give us that stack button. Give us the search field. That would be helpful in some areas. Don't make us wait 2 years for a complete inventory overhaul. Just give us these quality of life changes today. And, what do we need moving forward? Look, it's simple. We need things that are simple and functional and good. This is, Minecraft. They've had the same inventory system almost unchanged for 15 plus years. Why? Because it just works. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Nobody is complaining that much about the inventory system in Minecraft. Look, they've got the 3D paper doll in Minecraft, but it's on a black background. It's not using the in-game camera, right? And it works really well. How did Minecraft figure this out 15 years ago and do it? And Star Citizen cannot figure it out yet, right? So what we need moving forward, in the short term, give us things like the stack and the search. And then as quickly as possible and moving forward, give us things that are simple and that work and that are functional. I would rather just take Minecraft's low fidelity inventory system and put it directly in to Star Citizen and have it work and be functional than have some reinvented wheel that looks amazing but just does not function. All right. And that's what we need. That's where we need to get to. Like, we need to stop reinventing the wheel and trying to make everything so immersive, and just focus on something that is good, functional, and simple. All right. I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at Minecraft, believe it or not. But so those are my thoughts. Like I said, it's not all bad. There are some improvements in the system. And hopefully, some of the things that I'm bringing up, they're aware of, and they just didn't address them in the Star Citizen Live. But there are some frustrations with just how little progress we've made in the development of this game after so much time, and how, like I said, we seem to be in the first couple years of development where we're just thinking about what could an inventory system look like. And this should have been figured out long ago, if you ask me. So that's where I'll drop it. Listen, do me a favor. I'm new at this. This is my first video in this series. So if you have feedbacks on maybe mistakes I've made, either technical or otherwise, let me know in the comments if there's things you think I can improve upon. This is a new channel both here and on Twitch. I think I've got like less than 20 followers on Twitch, so give me a follow there. That would be helpful. Subscribe on YouTube. I know you hear it a million times from content you watch, but as someone new doing this on a new channel, it would really help me out a lot. So I hate to say like and share, but like and share. And lastly, in the comments, my questions for you. What do you think about the inventory that they showed off and Star Citizen's, inventory systems in general? And more importantly, or for me maybe, what are some simple or urgent fixes that you would prioritize for Star Citizen? What are the things that you feel like we need to fix immediately to help the playability of the game? Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video of some of the ideas and suggestions and thoughts that you guys have. So that'll do it for this video. And like I said, please join me on Twitch. Love to see some of you guys there. I stream pretty regularly when I play, which is usually evenings, US Eastern time. So hope to see you there, and hope to see you in another Fixing Star Citizen episode soon. All right, and that gives me a good exit point. So let's see, that was about 30 minutes. That's not too bad. I will trim this on YouTube, and we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching this. If you're watching this VOD, if someone was in here during the stream, thank you. And might be back on tonight. So see you guys soon.